I love to work with some of the circular shapes that are historical in nature and have got all the divisions inside them. So I thought I'd show you how to divide a circle into 6 equal spaces. And so I'm going to use a compass, and maybe some of you are dreading that, but it's quite easy to use. This particular one has got this little screw in the middle, so it doesn't allow it to pull apart or get wider while I'm actually using it. So I've got the point at one end and the pencil in the other, just getting you reacquainted with that old school equipment. And in order to make the circle, I'm going to put the pinpoint into I'm working on tracing paper. And the reason I'm working on tracing paper is because I'm going to then work a pattern into it and then transfer it off onto another piece of paper. So I'll take it right through. And you don't have to have much skill to use it. You just set the radius of the circle and swivel around. Try not to lose the point in the middle. So sometimes you have to help that arm a little bit. And hopefully it's going to meet each time. And if it doesn't, well, you have to do another one. So this one was just a little bit off. So I'm going to make a mark anywhere on the circle. And then I'm going to put the point back into that mark and then move and make a mark with the same radius that I used for the first circle and rotate around, all the way around, and I should get 6 divisions. Now, mathematically, this may not be a very fine procedure, but for art, it's absolutely wonderful. It'll give you exactly what you need. I've got a feeling this one's going to be a little bit off. Yes, it is. But since I have one that I did earlier, you'll see that most times they are just right spot on. So that then what I would do next is to take a ruler and make the division. So I'm going to divide across to where the line intersects the circle. And I should have 6 sections here. Okay, so then I want to, why am I making the 6 sections unless I make some kind of design in them? So that is really the point of where we're going with it, is trying to make a really nice design in it. This is a design that I did earlier just with doodling. And it is just a sort of a very simple doodle pattern on here. And so I traced it on. I started working, for instance, there's a part of a flower, and very simple, and part of the trick to inventing the design that goes in here is to try to make it fit within the area so that whatever's in here is going to be a little bit wider. So I'm taking this curvilinear line and I'm going back and making it a double line. You can even encroach. So move from one area, one pie section to the other, into it a little bit, so it looks a little more contemporary and spontaneous. And so that I'm making each one slightly different. So this pattern is going to be transferred off onto an ordinary piece of paper. And so I'll do that. I would continue on until I had a pattern something like this, or you can make any kind of pattern with it. So there's selecting your paper. This is where we're using our pale paper, and it's been painted with acrylic paints. And you can see that just partially I've pre-created the design on here. I've transferred it on with pencil. And so it's important then, I'll finish the last part of it. And I'm just trying to line up all the pieces in here. And so in order to transfer it, I'm going to go over the lines, the pencil lines That means that the pencil lines need to be on this side in order to be transferred, the graphite. So I'm working over it and hoping that that's going to transfer it, but I think it is. I just want a faint line anyhow. But you can always look while you're doing it. And this one is a little faint, but it's all right. It's working. And so this is back to the old days of working with tracing paper and the wonders of tracing paper and transferring designs. I'm not going to transfer these division shapes in here because they're not really part of my design. They're just the structure that I'm working around. And there I've got the design ready to start coloring. I'm going to use colored pencils to color them in. So I've selected just a grouping of colored pencils that I like, and I'm going to just start working in them and color in the areas. And it's like coloring when you were a kid. It's not really very different. Making a selection of the colors that you think are very nice. And sometimes I do some areas in between my drawing that I might just do very soft color in between, like this, so that you've got different colorings. The darker one when you're pressing harder, and then you've got the lighter one where you're just pressing very, very lightly. And so pretty much it's continuing along and playing the game of getting the design on here. Whoops, I got an extra loop in there. So you can outline it, you can color it in. And then you continue on with that until you like the look of it. So I'm near the finish of this particular piece. And you notice that I don't really have that line very dark because I like to take the side of my pencil, hold it close to the point, and just create some color coming outwards to make the hue different. So I've got yellow inside and I've got kind of an orangey here moving alongside it, and it moves into a green. And so I would continue working like this until I felt that it really looked as good as I wanted it to look. So then there's other things you can do with this as well. If you wanted to use the Sharpie, I've done the design larger scale and I've traced it off, and I've used a very thin Sharpie pen. And so I've done hatching lines inside the design. And after that, I'll either use colored pencil or I'll use a brush marker pen to fill it in.